Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome back to my 3.10 test flight series, in which we put all of the ships through their paces to see how they handle in atmosphere compared to one another. If you do enjoy these kinds of videos, be sure to hit subscribe and tick that notification bell so you know when my videos go live. We also have a Mantis standalone ship to give away courtesy of the Doctor, one of my channel members. All you have to do is be subscribed here on my YouTube and comment with what you're most excited for in 3.10. This will be drawn on the 27th. So today we put the Hornet F7C through our New Babbage test flight course. Now the Hornet is the military medium fighter, which is said to be resilient and dependable. Nothing really giving indications to its flight characteristics. However, it should feel a little bit more weightier than the other fighters we've tested and most likely less maneuverable. So for the course time, it did it in about 3 minutes 19.8, which included me getting stuck on a building, so you could probably shave off a few seconds off the time there. Now this is about the same time as the Gladius, which clearly shows that the Gladius as a light fighter is probably way too slow. So the Hornet Speed, it manages about 310 meters a second at around 800 to 1,000 feet. Now this is 695 miles an hour or 1,115 kilometers an hour, which is not a bad speed for a medium fighter in the current build, especially when you compare it to the other ships that we've tested thus far. All of the ships, I will say again, do feel a little slow overall, so hopefully we'll see some changes there. Now for its ability to roll, it can do a full roll in about 2 seconds 15, which is super quick, probably the fastest of the ships that I've tried so far, which makes it very useful at handling the course corners and turning into the pitch. Now it can yaw to about 45 to 50 degrees before kicking back, which is again not too shabby, giving you quite a bit of freedom of movement there. When it does come to pitching into a turn, however, it drifts pretty strongly. Now you do turn your ship, but the ship keeps on going on its original vector unless you either decrease the speed significantly or boost. Now you would expect it from a ship this heavy to be a bit more drift than the light fighters for certain, but whether it's too much, I don't know, to be honest. On one hand, it's great to have that characteristic with it being a medium fighter. It's almost double the weight of the Gladius or the Arrow, but the Sabre is actually a little heavier than the Hornet, which I was surprised to read, and the Sabre managed it perfectly well, so I'm not sure what's going on there. Now in terms of overall maneuverability, it's got a good speed, but it does slow heavily in the turns. It feels strong and weighty, or as it reads, resilient and durable, so it does kind of live up to its description. But as I say, its weightiness does cause it to drift somewhat, so it's not a ship that you would want to take any tight corners for around locations like New Babbage, and it's not something that you would be able to pull off fancy maneuvers compared to light fighters. In terms of course performance, it didn't serve so well for the Hornet. Its heavy frame caused it to drift when you get up to speeds, which I did notice were over the SEM speed, your safe combat maneuvering speed. If I was to maintain a speed below the SEM, it would probably fare a lot better, but you wouldn't be moving very quickly at all, and so you'd just be very vulnerable. Now its strength and firepower are probably seen as a bit of a trade-off for its sluggishness, and therefore should be used for its firepower rather than outmaneuvering the ships. It was pretty fun to fly around the course though. You do feel like you are in control of a kind of a beast, and although it's definitely a lot clunkier and not as swift as the lighter options, it certainly feels tough. Playing to its strengths, which is probably its speed rather than its maneuverability, would be wise, coming in from a distance and maybe hitting hard, then getting out of there to make another approach. That is probably where the Hornet will be kind of useful in the current atmospheric flight setup. Trying to go toe-to-toe with something like an Arrow would leave you very vulnerable, and probably with your head spinning you won't be able to pull off the same turns. You'd have to try and rely on its speed, but then again the Arrow's speed is a bit quicker at 330 meters a second. But with that said, there are some adjustments and balancing needed here. Like with all of the ships, this is the first implementation, so we will see what the changes bring and how CIG tune this. And that actually leads me on to the final words before I go, which is more of a caveat that I include with every ship test flight. Cloud Imperium did mention that this flight model is still not final and will be tuned, balanced and adjusted as and when they need to. The differences between main, VTOL and maneuvering thrusters, for example, will be balanced more, and ships will eventually gain ailerons and flaps to better aid in atmospheric flight. Any changes that we do see in the future, I will be sure to jump back into the cockpit for another test flight. With that said, do let me know what your thoughts are on the Hornet F7C in atmosphere, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the rest of the series. Tick that notification bell if you would like to be notified every time my videos go live. Hit the thumbs up if you're excited for 3.10, and come and hang out with us over on twitch.tv/supermacbrothers. I stream 4 days a week, and we are testing out everything 3.10 has to offer. Big thank you to my patrons and channel members. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.